Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're diving into the murky waters of TV character development, specifically those characters who want to play both sides of the aisle. We're talking about the good guys who go bad, the villains who turn good, and everyone in between. These characters are masters of the switcheroo, leaving us questioning their every move and often making us just want to yell at our screens. Enough already! Just pick a side. Let's kick things off with a fan favorite, but also a source of endless frustration, Daryl Dixon from The Walking Dead. We've watched him evolve from a gruff, survivalist hunter to a reluctant leader, battling both zombies and the inner turmoil of his own morality. One minute he's protecting innocent survivors, the next he's brutally dispatching enemies with a crossbow. Is he a hero or a ruthless survivor? Is he motivated by compassion or a primal need to survive? The answer, my friends, seems to be yes, and yes. We've been on this emotional roller coaster with Daryl for years, and frankly, even the most devoted fans are starting to get a little dizzy. Is he ever going to find his place? Are we ever going to understand his motivations? Next up, we have a queen who went from liberator to conqueror in the blink of an eye, and a lot of dragon fire. Daenerys Targaryen, the mother of dragons, started her journey with a burning desire for justice, fighting for the downtrodden and challenging the oppressive status quo. But as her power grew, so did her thirst for control. She became a ruthless ruler, dispensing justice with a fiery hand and ultimately becoming the very tyrant she once fought against. Was her descent inevitable? Was she always destined for this cruel path? Was Jon Snow ever actually going to put down that dragon-riding tyrant? Okay, this one is a little more lighthearted, but Eleanor Shellstrop from The Good Place still gave us a major whiplash. She started out as a self-centered, manipulative con artist who stumbled into the afterlife, a good place, much to her surprise. But as she learned to be a better person, we were rooting for her. She became kind, compassionate, and genuinely wanted to be a good person, even if it meant doing the right thing, even when it was hard. But then, The Good Place threw us a curveball. It turned out that her good deeds were actually altering the fabric of reality, and she might be responsible for creating a whole new, bad place. What are we supposed to do with a character who is both a force for good and a potential agent of chaos? Is Eleanor a savior or a destroyer? Is there even a good place for her in this unpredictable universe? Let's get back to darker territory with Tony Soprano, the notorious mob boss from The Sopranos. He was a ruthless criminal, a terrifying figure who commanded respect and fear through violence and intimidation. However, The Sopranos also gave us glimpses into Tony's internal struggles. He was haunted by his past, plagued by anxiety, and sought therapy to help him cope with his violent impulses. Was he a monster or a man trapped by his circumstances? Was he truly capable of change, or was he destined to live a life of crime and violence? Honestly, even after all these years, we still don't know for sure. Speaking of monsters with a penchant for therapy, we have Dexter Morgan, the titular character from Dexter. He's a forensic technician for the Miami-Dade Police Department, but he also has a dark secret. He's a serial killer who targets other killers. He justifies his killings as a form of twisted justice, but the show constantly pushed us to question his morality. Is he a hero cleaning up the streets, or a monster hiding behind a facade? Dexter's internal struggle was a constant source of tension, and it left us wondering if he was destined for a life of crime or if he could ever truly find redemption. Now, we have a character who went from meek chemistry teacher to ruthless drug kingpin, Walter White from Breaking Bad. He initially started cooking meth to secure his family's future, but as his power grew, he became increasingly ruthless and dangerous. Was he driven by a desire to provide for his family or a thirst for power? Did he truly believe he was doing the right thing, or was he a monster in disguise? The answer, as with so many of these characters, is probably a little bit of both. We witnessed Walter's transformation into a villain firsthand, and it left us questioning our own perception of good and evil. Next on our list of moral ambiguity, we have Negan from The Walking Dead. This villain was introduced as a brutal, sadistic leader who wielded a barbed wire bat named Lucille and held a tight grip on the survivors. But beneath his cruel facade, we saw hints of a complex character. He displayed a sense of humor, a code of ethics, and even moments of vulnerability. Was he truly evil or merely a product of a broken world? Did he truly believe his methods were justified? Ultimately, we were left wondering whether Negan was a monster or a man pushed to the edge. Let's switch gears and head to the world of superheroes. Barry Allen, the Flash, is a beloved hero who races through time, fighting crime and saving lives. But as with many characters on this list, Barry's moral compass isn't always as clear as his super speed. He's been known to tamper with the timeline, trying to change the past and create a better future, even when his actions have unintended and devastating consequences. Is he a hero who tries too hard or a reckless individual who thinks he can rewrite destiny? Is he a hero or a villain in disguise? Now, we have a pair of brothers who constantly oscillate between good and bad. Dean Winchester from Supernatural was initially presented as a charming, rebellious, and impulsive hunter of monsters. He was willing to break the rules and bend the law to accomplish his goals, often placing his own desires above the greater good. But he also loved his brother deeply and would do anything to protect him, even if it meant making questionable choices. Over the course of the show, we witnessed Dean grapple with his demons and his dark side, ultimately becoming a hero willing to make sacrifices for the greater good. Yet, even as he strives to do the right thing, he still succumbs to temptation and makes choices that blur the lines between hero and villain. We can't talk about characters who blur the lines between good and bad without mentioning Rick Grimes, the original hero of The Walking Dead. He was a sheriff who became a leader, a survivor who fought to protect his loved ones in a world gone mad. However, the horrors of the apocalypse took their toll on Rick. He became increasingly ruthless, making difficult decisions that pushed him to the edge of morality. Was he a hero or a villain, a savior or a tyrant? Ultimately, his fate was left unresolved, leaving us to ponder whether he was a man of good who lost his way or a force for chaos in a broken world. Finally, we have a character who defies categorization, Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica. She's a skilled pilot, a warrior, and a rebel, fighting for the survival of her people against the Cylons. Throughout the series, she pushes the boundaries of good and bad. She's impulsive, rebellious, and often does what she believes is right, even if it means defying orders and breaking the rules. Is she a hero or a rogue, a savior or a threat? Is she a force for good or a wild card in a desperate war? The answer, like Starbuck herself, is elusive and unpredictable. These are just a few of the many characters who have left us scratching our heads and shouting, "Enough already!" These characters are complex, contradictory, and ultimately human. They remind us that morality is rarely black and white, and that even the best of us can be tempted by darkness.